Most of you have probably never heard me complain about Robert Edward Grant, and most of you probably couldn't recognize a red flag if it was spoon fed to you on the DARPA internet. This fella is a controlled opposition asset who used to work for Big Pharma. You with me? Probably not. And these are some of the comments I left in here, and I'll get to another point in a second, which is ironic. I think it was half a decade ago, approximately, on Instagram. I was teaching people in the comment section on Robert Edward Grant's Instagram why light doesn't have speed, and he blocked me. We had it out for a minute, and then he blocked me. Flash forward to today, and now he has changed his tune because he's a controlled opposition asset and he has hijacked what does reflect reality and he's lumping it in with the propaganda. In other words, he'll tell you that light has speed, and then he'll tell you all about atomism or some other equally outlandish pseudo-intellectual garbage, all of which is in place to pave the way for a one-world religion. It might sound outlandish if you didn't use your brain, to process what I just said. You might assume and believe otherwise, because what I can teach you isn't well financed. It's not well circulated. It's not normalized. You still probably don't understand, and I imagine that's most of you. If you look down here, I left a lot of comments. I left 3 of them in particular. The bottom one, it highlights that I left 2 comments prior to this, and they've already fallen to the bottom of the stack, and or they've been hidden. Other than that, I just recapped, for the most part, what I left in here. Now, when I click on this, they're probably all gone. Yep. Now, here's the other point I want to make. The blue check mark is in place to normalize incremental steps towards social credit slavery. Anybody who's verified has reassured that people such as myself are not created equal on the DARPA internet. Stands to reason, but it's up to you to think about it. Emojis were written into free social engineering platforms, which is a red flag, because there's a war on words. And the more often you shit out emojis, it will retrain how your brain works so that it doesn't work efficiently. And yet, we're surrounded by people who do so. Now, this is what I was really driving at. Do you see that people are easy to train, and they typed Orion in here? You and I are surrounded by copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. Mind you, this is acceptable. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're marching in lockstep with their horse blinders on. Notice how many of them are verified. Copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. Do you see anybody saying anything worth a goddamn? Highly unlikely. Same song and dance, and this kid also shit out an emoji. Another, verification. Copies of copies of copies. You with me? And these are the people that believe what they were just spoon-fed. One of the other comments I left in here has to do with the fact that Alex Jones, who is a controlled opposition asset, and Donald Trump, who is also an actor, they both, this was many years ago, I want to say 2014, 2015 approximately. This is part of the big push towards, what is it? It's patently fascist censorship. So we were told that both of them were, I think, blocked from Twitter, I think, at the time. I think it was Twitter and maybe even Facebook. I can't remember. And the only reason this took place was so that you and I would believe that these celebrities were being censored. That's the same shit here. But I bet you, on YouTube and TikTok, both of which are huge fucking red flags, Robert Edward Grant probably still has traction. I bet you. And if that's the case, consider who owns those platforms. It would not be the case if this guy was actually doing the right thing. Most people do not care what I'm up to. Most people will not see what I leave online. And one of the few people that I'm aware of, at least, that isn't lying to people and is willing to teach you things you're not supposed to know. What I'm complaining about is as superficial as is as superficial as the day is long. There we go. But it hasn't dawned on most people. How many of you are barking at people that have a blue check mark? How many people out there are challenging others who shit out emojis? These are superficial examples of ways we could improve society, but most of you aren't willing to do that. If you're not considering what I just said, you're not willing to walk the walk, you're not who I'm looking for, but more importantly, you are the fucking problem. And that's why censorship exists today. I shit you not. How many of you bought into censorship culture? I mean, fascism culture. Pardon me, cancel culture. How many of you supported that? That's one of many examples. Polarizing positive vibes only, hating Snopes, debunked, fake. These are all social engineering buzzwords in place to pave the way for patently fascist censorship. Community guidelines is the opposite of what? Freedom of fucking speech. Every single one of these platforms, yeah, every single one of these, I'm trying to show you the Instagram sigil, they're all third party. That's a red flag. None of these are for the people, by the people. All of these stand outside the jurisdiction of the Constitution and freedom of speech. And what I just said has been removed from my TikTok account numerous times over. You can still leave that on Instagram, which is kind of strange. But yeah, it's been removed from TikTok. I think I've said it on YouTube and it still stands, which is strange based on who owns, again, TikTok and YouTube in particular. But they also control this. I mean, this is LifeLog 2.0, the flip side of Facebook, which is LifeLog. And consider who owns it. It's the same song and dance technically as TikTok and YouTube. Most of you probably didn't see this. And most of you probably don't fucking care. If you think that Robert Edward Grant's teaching you things, consider the fact that the account that left this online is pushing one of the two agendas, two major agendas, to polarize the masses. The flat earth paradigm and the globe paradigm. Neither of which reflect reality, both of which are bullshit. You can't use either of them as a tool. It's a fact, but you'd have to use your brain. I hadn't gone through this slideshow, and it's shit. I'm not surprised it's shit, and it's promoting, like I said, that garbage. What you'll usually get out of a controlled opposition asset, bear in mind, again, this is a different account as far as I'm aware. Somebody, who sucks the day's dick in terms of Robert Edward Grant, because there he is right there. And if he was actually being censored, his account was gone, that video probably wouldn't be on here. Just saying. I mean, it would be across the board, most likely. He wouldn't have any traction, so this guy would have never seen that post, and he couldn't have posted that. More likely than not. Granted, did this just happen? I don't know. This post is from 2 days ago already. And this was at the top of my stack, mind you. A lot of times on my primary account, I'll see posts from 4 weeks ago, and then 6 weeks will pass, and I'll see that same post. This account is my flip side to the other account, and it's a little bit better in terms of what pops up, but not much better. 2 days is a little bit better than 4 weeks, but I'm still not seeing current things, typically speaking. As always, what the fuck do I know? And I drug this out because our masters are doing away with attention spans. And that hasn't dawned on most people. It's it's another elephant in the room, but no one's concerned with that. We're being dumbed down. We're being manipulated. There shouldn't be short videos. There should only be videos online. And when you go to Google, now you see both options. And Google also changed the format. So if you're trying to find videos in a hurry, sometimes it will get pushed further to the right. So you have to pull that little bar over. It's a first world woe. But why would videos be hidden sometimes? But short videos, they're convenient. You don't have to work for those usually. And that's another telltale sign that it's a fucking agenda.